Did you know that the constant sensation that life simply happens with you and not by you can be a sign that your thoughts are on autopilot? As the great Earl Nightingale used to say, we become that in which we think most of the time, and it is our daily decisions that, brick by brick, build the house of our existence. But before we explore this theme in depth, do not forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to help us reach 1,000 subscribers. It only takes a few seconds and helps us immensely. Nightingale's central idea is revolutionary in its simplicity. You are the architect of your reality, because your dominant thoughts shape your perception, your emotions, and consequently, your actions. That in which you focus your mental energy expands. If you plant seeds of doubt and limitation, you will reap a restricted life. If you cultivate thoughts of possibility, growth, and gratitude, your reality will flourish accordingly. It is not magic. It is the law of cause and effect applied to the mind, the principle that the mental universe precedes and creates the material universe of your experience. However, modern society, with its incessant bombardment of information, notifications, and the frantic search for external validation constantly pulls us out of this center of inner power. We are conditioned to react instead of creating, to consume instead of contemplating, to follow the flow of the digital herd instead of charting our own course with intention. We lose the helm of our thoughts to external noise, allowing circumstances and other people's opinions to dictate the narrative of our life. And there lies the internal conflict, the silent battle fought within each of us. One part of you longs to take control, to shape a life with meaning and purpose, while another part, fueled by fear, doubt, or old thought patterns, resists, preferring the familiarity of complaint or inertia. Recognizing that you are the creator also means accepting responsibility for everything, the good and the challenging, and this can be frightening. The choice then becomes clear, although not necessarily easy, to continue adrift or to take the helm of your mind. Authentic action begins the moment you decide consciously to choose your thoughts, to direct your focus to what you want to build, even if it is a small step per day. It is about cultivating mindfulness in your daily choices, from what you consume mentally to how you react to challenges, replacing autopilot with conscious intention. By embracing this creator posture, the benefits unfold in a transformative way. You begin to feel a renewed sense of personal power, not power over others, but power over yourself. Anxiety decreases as confidence in your ability to navigate life increases. You realize that, even in the face of storms, you have the ability to choose your response and maintain your inner course. Life gains color, purpose, and a deep sense of alignment because you are actively engaged in your co-creation. So the question that remains is, what reality are you choosing to build from? Today, with the thoughts that you decide to nurture now, if this touched you in some way, leave your comment, like this video, and subscribe to the channel to continue receiving messages like this. To really internalize the depth of Nightingale's affirmation, imagine the mind as a fertile garden. If you neglect this garden, weeds like self-criticism, pessimism, and toxic comparison will inevitably sprout and suffocate any possibility of healthy growth. These weeds, which in psychology we could call dysfunctional thoughts or limiting beliefs, do not arise from nothing. They are cultivated by the lack of conscious attention, by the repetition of negative patterns, and by the absence of proactive mental gardening. Now think about the transformative power of an intentional gardener, one who carefully selects the seeds he plants, who nurtures the soil with care, who diligently removes the weeds, and who protects young plants from the weather. This gardener, in the metaphor of our mind, is you in the exercise of your self-awareness, of your ability to deliberately choose your thoughts. Neuroscience reveals to us that the brain is incredibly plastic. That is, it constantly reshapes itself based on our experiences and, crucially, on our thoughts. Each thought that you repeat Each mental pattern that you reinforce strengthens certain neural connections, creating true mental roads that become increasingly easier to travel. That is why negative thoughts can become so addictive. They literally pave the way in your brain, making it more likely that you will fall into these patterns again. But the good news, and here lies the heart of hope and transformation, is that this brain plasticity works both ways. Just as you can strengthen negative neural pathways, you can, with effort and intention, create new mental routes, pathways of positive, constructive, and empowering thought. It is what positive psychology calls cognitive restructuring, the ability to identify and challenge automatic negative thoughts, replacing them with more realistic and beneficial perspectives. To illustrate this point, imagine two people facing the same challenge, let's say, the loss of a job. The first person, trapped in the autopilot of negative thoughts, may immediately drown in self-pity, thinking things like, "I am a failure, I will never get another job, life is unfair to me." These thoughts, repeated incessantly, generate paralyzing emotions such as anxiety and hopelessness, which in turn lead to actions of inertia, such as isolating oneself, avoiding looking for new opportunities, and feeding a vicious cycle of negativity. The second person, already armed with the awareness of their mental power, can react completely differently. She may feel the pain of loss, of course, but quickly decides to focus her energy on finding solutions. She may ask herself, "What can I learn from this experience? What new skills can I develop? What opportunities open up now?" This change of focus, this conscious choice to direct your thoughts towards possibility and growth, is not a denial of reality, but rather a way of reframing it, of finding purpose even in adversity. This person is not on autopilot. She is actively piloting her mind, choosing the route that will take her to a better future. This is the essence of Stoic philosophy, which teaches us to focus on what we can control, our thoughts and actions, and to serenely accept what we cannot, external circumstances. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great exponents of Stoicism, constantly reminded us that you have power over your mind, not over external events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This inner strength, this ability to stand firm in the face of challenges, is the direct result of a disciplined mind, of thoughts cultivated with intention and purpose. However, the journey to master one's own mind is not a speed marathon, but rather a constant walk, one step at a time. It is not about completely eliminating negative thoughts, which would be unrealistic and even harmful, as uncomfortable emotions also have their role in alerting us and impelling us towards change. It is rather about developing the ability to observe these thoughts without identifying with them, to question their validity, to consciously choose whether you are going to give power to them or whether you are going to redirect your attention to something more constructive. Imagine that you're watching a movie in your mind, a movie full of dramas, anxieties, and worries. You can let yourself be carried away by this narrative, identify with the suffering character, and sink into negative emotions. Or you can remember that you are just the spectator, that you have the power to change the channel, to choose a more inspiring story, more aligned with your goals and your values. This change of perspective, this ability to distance oneself from one's own thoughts, is fundamental to get out of autopilot and take control of your mind. And how to do this in practice in everyday life. Start with small mindfulness exercises. Set aside a few minutes a day to simply observe your thoughts without judgment, as if they were clouds passing in the sky. Notice the patterns that repeat themselves. Identify the triggers that trigger negative thoughts, and start questioning them. Ask yourself, is this thought really true? What evidence do I have to support this belief? Is there another way to see this situation? Replace relentless self-criticism with gentle self-compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a dear friend. Celebrate your small victories, recognize your progress, even if they seem insignificant. Remember that change is a gradual process, which requires patience, persistence, and above all, self-compassion. And as you advance on this journey of self-discovery and self-mastery, you will realize that life is not simply happening with you, but rather through you, like a work of art in constant creation, shaped by your thoughts, by your choices, and by your conscious intention. You will become the protagonist of your own story, the architect of your destiny, the gardener of your mind, reaping the fruits of a fuller, more meaningful and more aligned life with your true potential. So, stop for a moment and reflect. If your thoughts are the seeds of your reality, what kind of garden are you cultivating now? And what can you start planting today to flourish the life you really want? If this message resonated with you, leave your comment down here, share your reflections, your experiences. Let's build together a community of conscious and inspired minds. And of course, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and activate notifications so you don't miss any new content that helps you walk this journey of self-development and personal transformation. But the journey of mental gardening is not without challenges. Just as a physical garden is subject to pests, droughts, and storms, the mind also faces its moments of adversity. There will be days when the weeds will seem stronger, when negative thoughts will insist on sprouting more vigorously. In these moments, the key is not to despair or blame yourself, but rather to redouble attention and care for the inner garden. Imagine that self-criticism is like a particularly resistant weed with deep roots and sharp thorns. Trying to violently uproot it can even hurt the fertile soil around it. A more effective approach would be to weaken this weed gradually, cutting its branches gently, nurturing the soil with positive thoughts and planting seeds of self-compassion in the place where it grew. The metaphor of the garden extends even further when we think about the different seasons of life. Just as the garden goes through the cycle of planting, growth, flowering, harvesting, and rest, the mind also experiences different phases. There will be moments of great productivity and mental clarity, the spring of the mind, where new ideas flourish and projects come to life. There will also be moments of challenge and introspection, the autumn of the mind, where it is necessary to gather the fruits of learning, let go of what no longer serves, and prepare for a new cycle. And there will even be the winter of the mind, periods of apparent dormancy or difficulty, which are essential for rest, regeneration, and strengthening of roots. Understanding these cycles, accepting impermanence, and cultivating patience are fundamental virtues for the gardener of the mind. Eastern philosophy, especially Buddhism, offers us valuable insights into the transient nature of thoughts and emotions. The practice of mindfulness meditation, or mindful attention, invites us to observe the flow of the mind without judgment, to recognize that thoughts are just passing mental events, like clouds in the sky, and not reality itself. By distancing ourselves from identification with our thoughts, we gain the freedom to choose which seeds we want to nurture and which weeds we want to let wither for lack of attention. Neuropsychology also offers us powerful tools to cultivate the garden of the mind. Techniques such as creative visualization, neurolinguistic programming, NLP, and biofeedback can help us reprogram negative mental patterns, strengthen self-confidence, and optimize brain functioning. Creative visualization, for example, consists of using the imagination to create vivid and positive mental images of the results we want to achieve. By repeating these visualizations regularly, we are literally planting seeds of possibility in our subconscious, preparing the mental ground for the manifestation of our goals. NLP, in turn, teaches us to identify and modify patterns of language and behavior that limit our potential. By learning to use language in a more positive and constructive way, we can restructure the way we think and feel, creating new neural roots of success and well-being. And biofeedback offers us the opportunity to monitor and regulate our physiological functions, such as heart rate, breathing, and brain activity, learning to control stress and anxiety through the mind. Imagine, for example, that you are feeling overwhelmed by the stress of everyday life. Through biofeedback, you can learn to identify the physical signs of stress in your body and to use breathing and relaxation techniques to calm the mind and body, restoring inner balance. These tools, combined with the wisdom of philosophy and psychology, empower us to become increasingly skilled gardeners of our mind, cultivating a lush and vibrant inner garden. And the beauty of this journey is that it is deeply personal and transformative. By dedicating ourselves to mental gardening, we are not just changing our thoughts, we are transforming ourselves, expanding our consciousness, strengthening our resilience, and discovering our true potential. It is as if by taking care of the garden of the mind, we blossomed along with it, revealing deeper layers of wisdom, compassion, and joy. Remember the words of the philosopher Seneca, another giant of Stoicism, who told us, "No person has the power to have everything they want, but it is in their power not to want what they do not have and happily enjoy what they have." This ability to find contentment and gratitude in the present, to appreciate the small beauties of life, and to cultivate inner serenity is one of the most precious fruits of mental gardening. And do not forget that the journey of mental gardening is a continuous journey, a constant learning, a dance between effort and surrender, between intention and acceptance. There will be moments of exuberant flowering and moments of apparent stagnation, but in each phase, there is the opportunity for growth and transformation. With each weed pulled out, each seed of positivity planted, each act of self-compassion cultivated, you are building a stronger, more resilient mind, more aligned with your values and purposes. And as you delve deeper into this practice, you will realize that mental gardening is not just a technique, but rather a lifestyle, a way of relating to yourself and to the world around you with more awareness, kindness, and intention. You will become an attentive observer of your thoughts, a cultivator of positive emotions, a guardian of your mental and emotional well-being. And most importantly, you will become the master of your own inner garden, the architect of your own reality, reaping the fruits of a fuller, more meaningful and happier life. So, I invite you to take the next step on this journey of mental gardening. Set aside some time to connect with your inner garden. Observe the seeds you have planted, the weeds that need to be removed, and the flowers you want to cultivate. Start today to plant thoughts of gratitude, hope, and self-compassion. Nurture your mind with positive and inspiring information. Remove the weeds of self-criticism and pessimism, and observe with curiosity and patience the blossoming of your inner garden. Remember that you have the power to create the reality you want, one thought at a time, one conscious choice at a time, and that, by cultivating your mind, you are cultivating your life, transforming yourself into a gardener of the soul, reaping the beauty and abundance that have always been within you. What is the most persistent weed that you need to start removing from your mental garden today? Leave your comment sharing your answer, like this video to spread this message, and subscribe to the channel to receive more inspiring content that will help you cultivate a prosperous and flourishing mental garden.